Good morning, it's 9 o'clock, Tuesday, May 6th. We'll begin the Floyd County Board of Supervisor meeting. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to approve the agenda. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Item 2 is public comment. Anyone by phone or in person that'd like to comment on an item that's not on our agenda? All right. Review and action regarding the approval of the April 29th, 2025 minutes.
I would motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
I'm gonna hesitate. I had some concern about the minutes of not being accurate last week regarding the ditch. We had a property owner that felt he was misquoted in the minutes and not being accurate. And in fact, I might be able to find
Which property owner was it, Dennis?
it said that the minute states that Jeff Murray confirmed the ditch was seeded. I do not believe he was at the meeting and participating, therefore it would be secondhand or third-hand information, and in my opinion, should not be part of the minutes.
Okay. I'm happy to reword it so it's more clear, but that sentence does start with Conley responded that he could not speak to the contractor, but that Jeff had confirmed the ditch was seeded. So it's saying that Connolly said that Jeff had said it had been seeded, but I'd be happy to reword it to make it more clear that Connolly is the one providing that information.
Okay, it wasn't Jeff.
No, and that's how the sentence reads. Connolly responded that he could not speak for what the subcontractor or contractor, or speak for the contractor or subcontractor, but that Jeff Murray had confirmed that the ditches were seeded. It's not saying that Jeff himself said it.
I think that's
Yeah, I
fine.
think we need to redo that.
How would you like it worded then?
Jeff doesn't need to be mentioned at all.
But Connolly said that Jeff told him that it was seeded.
I think it's appropriate to leave a message inside. That's what Conley said.
Do you have a different way you want it worded so it's more
Well,
clear?
I don't know if I have a different way to word it, but I have issues with Jeff's name being mentioned because he doesn't want it mentioned.
Jeff is the one saying he doesn't want it mentioned. Okay, how would the rest of the board members like to proceed with this? Because it is something Connolly said. And it is being stated as something Connolly
It
said.
could be a landowner.
Okay.
You have a text message from Jeff?
I talked to Devin this morning.
So you haven't heard from Jeff?
I talked to Devin. Devin was Jeff's messenger this morning.
Did you read the message?
It was a phone call.
Oh, I thought you were looking at a message.
Well, that's a message from somebody else, but the phone call I had today was from Devin expressing concern about Jeff's name being brought up at the meeting incorrectly.
So we didn't hear from Jeff, we just heard from Devin.
Yes.
I think maybe we could put in the minutes that we just have, I mean, the minutes are what happened, but that maybe it could just be that a comment was made about Jeff's son reporting that he didn't want Jeff's name in the minutes. Maybe you had
Maybe for the minutes, it could say like a individual was named who has requested anonymity. was requested to remain anonymous or, requested information not shared, instead of calling out the individual's name.
Yeah, he's unhappy, I don't think he's mad, but he's not happy about that, so.
And, it's in a recording, that's the part that is hard, it's in a recording.
Because the recording isn't correct, that's the problem.
The recording is of
The
of that
recording is
day.
It's what?
The recording itself is of that day. We don't alter that. We don't add things into that.
Right, but the information on it isn't necessarily correct, is what I'm saying, Morgan.
So if Jeff didn't see it,
I don't know how you could change it, because it's happened. But I think we could note a concern with the approval of the minutes. I mean, it is part of the record of the recording.
Great. Along with that recording, it's gotta stand where it's at. Perhaps, amend it by, so now it's saying, against his wishes, or that his name was mentioned. I mean, caveat, to that, but I'm afraid if it's on the recording.
Could possibly
Well-
be issued as a potential correction, a potential future correction to information that was not correct at the time of sharing last meeting, but I don't think that would probably change what was said in the recording.
Maybe going
Not
forward,
hearing from Jeff himself makes it difficult for me. But
maybe going forward, we just need to make it a point not to allow it to happen again. For one thing. Personal names become involved.
Well, I mean, like this hearsay,
Excuse me, someone on the phone?
Yes, Jim Jorgens. Is this topic open for comment?
Yes,
If I may comment, I was wondering, is it common practice to allow secondhand information to be part of the minutes? That's my only comment.
you're asking if it's, we allow secondhand information to be part of the minutes, right, Jim?
That's correct, yes.
well, I'd say it probably happens a lot, because oftentimes we're reporting on, something another department had said, or the county attorney, or whoever. So it's probably not the first time something's been put in the minutes like that.
I think,
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
I think I have the problem that I have. I can, maybe he didn't want his name mentioned, but it was still on the recording, and I have trouble having to go back and always look at, the minutes again to see who doesn't want their name on and who does. I mean, it should stand, I think, because Tyler did say it, and I mean, if it isn't right, but at least we got record of it, but
I'll just add that it's hard to know what to put in minutes. For 20 years doing that position, I've had one supervisor who said, "You're putting too much. Just basically put your motions and your recording of the motions." I have another supervisor who, when he was supervisor, was always saying, "You're not putting enough in the minutes." Morgan's got a tough job on what you're going to put in, what you're not going to put in. And I've always said that when I was doing the minutes, I kind of did the minutes through working with the board and what are they looking for? And so this, maybe something how maybe there's too much in the minutes. Maybe Morgan should put less in the minutes. You'd probably be happy to do less
Well,
minutes.
the problem I have is, we have to go back and amend the minutes. on A lot of these things, I mean, that's gonna take us all the time to do that, because somebody will always come in and say, you know, I did not want that. I mean, just, and right or wrong, I mean, if Tyler said it, at least it's on black and white, what was said, you know, I
Yeah.
mean,
And it
I
does say
have trouble going
200%.
back and amending, even if it was hearsay, because how do I know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the problem I have. I think we should stand.
Okay, enough discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye, motion passed. Item 3, review action regarding, well, was the minutes. Item 4, review action regarding approval of claims.
I have one, down here, special ed therapy for $2,400. Is
public health,
that what that is for, okay,
yep, it's Department 39. I don't have them open right now, but I'm guessing it's Gail's Department 39.
okay, I just wondered, figured something like that, but, and then I have one up, if you go up a little bit, it's, I'm screening for $4,718.64, what's that, ICAO. I have trouble with all these acronyms. What is that?
Oh, North Iowa Community Action Organization? Is that, I got
Okay,
it.
there you go.
Is it
What's
Department
screen? Part
Is
three.
it Department,
Three? Is that what that is?
Department 3, Department 26?
3. I just was curious what that was.
What page are you on?
Second.
Second page?
Looking at the right one. Looked at Gordon's agenda pack and then,
Oh, you're looking at claims that were approved at that
was
last
that the
meeting?
last, oh, excuse me.
Yeah, you have the
No,
email from Lexi.
Okay,
for-
I'm sorry, yeah,
Uh,
okay,
But that,
yeah,
if it was North Iowa Area Community Action, that would be for the contract that's for Early Childhood Iowa. And they have programs that they contract providers to provide services for,
okay,
if that's what that
Okay.
is.
I'm sorry, I got it screwed up,
That's not
wrong one,
Which one's right?
right.
current one.
The juvenile one?
Okay, sorry about
The NICAO.
that. Yes, yes. Okay,
I'm not
I
sure.
went
about
down
any
too
of those past
I
claims.
got 20 emails.
Any emails on
I,
it? We can pull the claims from the last meeting.
I'm behind, sorry. That's all I need. Want to approve the current claims?
Entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I'd make a motion to
Okay.
approve them.
Motion by Carr,
I'll second that.
second by Campbell. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed.
But Lloyd, we could look that claim up from last week's.
Okay.
And I sent a message.
Item 5, updates on various boards, commissions, and activities since the last meeting.
Mine's easy. I think this is the first meeting. I haven't had any meetings in a week.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nice week.
I did go, I did finish the ARPA report. I was trying to get some titles changed on there, but it didn't let me do it. And finally, they said just submit it the way it was. And behind the scenes, they'll change titles because it had me as auditor and I added Oregon, but it wasn't letting me change title. That did that, and then I did go to the 130th Street Bridge. I know I said I did that with you, but my husband and I were out driving around one day.
Which
On Thursday,
ARPA annual report, or I get the right report?
Yes, yeah,
you got
yeah.
Sure. On May 1st, on Thursday, I met with Dan Neal from Lake. Hello?
You could mute your phone, whoever that is, and let
Could you
you,
please mute your phone?
or your Zoom.
Or do you want to be part of the discussion?
Okay, anyway, I met with Dan Neal, Lakeside, and Tyler from Bolton Mink, and Lauren from contractors. Anyway, out at the ditch, and it was raining, and we didn't walk the ditch, but we went around a lot and looked at the slopes, and also reviewed the part of the ditch that comes down where we had trouble with, say, down by the railroad. Oh, they had the CRP and the
Wolf.
trees.
Wolf.
Yeah, thank you. And we spent a lot of time out there and looking at it and talking about what, we need to be done. And then Tyler did send an email back during what everybody, talked about it. Dan Neal said that he was on board with going through it, trying to drag the ditch and then reseed it. And we looked at a lot of the. Yeah, I think it looked pretty good coming through the rain that we've had and everything. The railroad bridge is still a problem that I'm sure we'll just have to wait to see what they say. And but water is flowing. There was some concern about not at that time, but there is some concern about if the ditch is actually a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. Tyler Mink said that there's some of the ditch that is 3-to-1, that if you had to go back and redo that takes a lot more land out of production because of the slope. So anyway, that is what I'm sure we're going to get at here pretty quick. So anyway, that's the only thing I had.
I had a meeting with the Chamber of Commerce Cultural and Entertainment Grant Committee, and they issued a pair of grants, one to the brewery, Brewery,
Hilarion.
and then the other one to David Davidson with ice cream shop and a jewelry store. Also had a call from James Burgess with Blue Sky Towers, asking about this communication tower south by the fairgrounds there where we're moving the equipment from. And I explained to him, it was my understanding that the equipment on the tower belonged to Floyd County, but the tower belonged to electronic engineering, but now it's Blue Sky, Burgess is his name. So he was I asked him to get in touch with Jennifer with 911 and go over the list of equipment, and I don't know if he's done that yet, so. And then, we
There
also.
may be other equipment on that tower that's not ours.
Okay, well, that's the reason for this, so.
Yeah.
We also had a call with Nathan Ike and with Aerial Services, and we'll get into his discussion a little later, so. Right on. All right, item 6 on the agenda, review action regarding the Ayers and Cooney invoices, $214.31 for judicial review of the IUC permit, and then $2,379 for pipeline and right-of-way ordinances. Todd Pritchard and I talked with Mr. Whipple, it's maybe been a month ago now, in regard to a right-of-way ordinance. And we asked him to draft one for us. And I believe it was similar to Bremer County, if I'm not mistaken, with some changes. And then Mr. Whipple got it back to us, and Adam and I and Todd Pritchard as well, and went over it. We suggested a few changes. So they're going back to Whipple for that consideration. So that's what the $2,379 is for, the right-of-way ordinances, and that's for the intersections and right-of-ways of the pipeline and the windmills or whatever we have.
Whipple, he's an attorney? or-
Yeah, he's with Ayers and Cooney.
Oh, with,
Yeah.
He's the one that was at the March meeting,
oh,
about when the special meeting that they had before the ISAC conference,
okay.
that Wednesday before the ISAC conference.
So I'll entertain a motion for those Ayers and Cooney invoices.
I move that we pay the invoices of $214.31 and $379 for pipeline and roads, right-of-way ordinances.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Did it ever, excuse me, Mr. Chair, this is Linda Jaden. Did you open it up for public discussion or not?
Yes. Public discussion? Yeah.
I didn't hear you ask. I heard you ask for discussion upon the supervisors. My question is, I'd like to see it maybe as a future agenda topic, but what was the original contract agreement with Ayers and Cooney that we're continuing to spend money there? When does it end? Because right now it's coming out of general fund dollars, correct? Because ARPA has already been used.
We're shared.
It's coming out of, I will just say, it's coming out of general fund dollars because now it's lawsuit. It only came out of ARPA when it was filing for the Iowa Utility Board to consider county's position on the permit. Now that, since the Utilities Commission approved the permit, now it's a lawsuit with, I don't know how many counties it is.
I think
8,
there's 9.
9
Yep.
counties. So that's why it's coming out of general fund.
Yeah, and I understand all that. I guess I'm just wondering, what was the original contract agreement with Ayers and Cooney as far as how long do we continue to pay them?
I don't know that there was a date, but I can look at for the contract, but I think it was, I mean, as long as the suit is still ongoing, I think we have the services through the suit.
That was my
So
understanding.
this could continue for quite some time.
Well, probably as long as the pipeline is an issue. And then that bill is shared with 8 other counties.
Understand, but I mean, even today's dollars, that you're approving, it's adding up.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just,
We have
that's
to
the
have
only
an
question I
ordinance
have.
we have to have a right-of-way ordinance, and it costs money.
Yeah, that the ordinance piece of it, there hasn't been much for funds. And this is the largest by far for funds for the ordinance. And I don't know where we're at with it, if he's got anything for us yet for consideration. The 2,000 is a lot of money for an ordinance and not to have a document yet. I don't know what the status of that is.
All I'm asking, I guess, is that maybe, the citizens get an status update on the pipeline. Where's it going? How long is this gonna continue? What is Ayers and Cooney working on? Because right now, every time there's a line item, it's just a claim. you know, that are a bill that needs to be paid. It hasn't been on for discussion for quite some time. And yet we're still paying.
All right,
We can try to get an
yeah,
update on
we'll
that.
try to do that, give me an update, Linda, so.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
So we need a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Item 7, public hearing regarding the Apple Lane Road vacation. Do I need to close the public hearing and,
You'd open the public hearing.
or open the public hearing? I mean, so make a motion to open the public hearing regarding Apple Lane Road vacation.
It doesn't have to be a motion to open the hearing, but if you wanted a motion, it can be.
Let's do it this time.
I'd make a motion to open the public hearing for the Apple Lane Road vacation.
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell to open the public hearing regarding Apple Lane Road vacation. Adam?
I'll start out with some just basic information. Back in Marchish 2025, the engineer's office received a request to vacate the remaining portion of Apple Lane north of 190th Street, and received that request from the adjacent landowner. On March 31st, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution to set the public hearing for vacating Apple Lane for today, May 6th. April 2nd, 2025, notices were mailed to all the required parties. And the engineer's office has confirmed receipts of these notices being delivered. Notice was published in Charles City Press on April 22nd, 2025. Notice was published in North Springs Rockford Register on April 23rd, 2025. And to date, no claims have been filed with the engineer's office.
Any other public comments? Anybody?
I just mentioned I drove out to the area and it looks like it serves no purpose for being a county road any longer. It's,
The one point that I will mention is we have on the resolution that the county is going to replace a cross culvert on that road. We have agreed to do that with the landowners.
is that like in the ditch where what would be
It goes across the road,
down the road?
it's just 950 feet from the intersection. It's a cross pipe, I believe it's a little too high, so pulling back water. So we are required to do something to get it into 14 order essentially.
When do you expect to do that?
This summer, I don't have a set date, but I told our guys that as soon as they're able to get it done, so.
Did you guys drive out there?
I'm familiar with the area. Any other public comments? Better have a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Campbell, second by Carr. No, is that what?
I think it was the other way, but that's all
Which way do you want me to write it?
right.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. Item 8, review action regarding resolution number 2125, vacate county road. I'll entertain a motion to entertain that motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2325. Vacate county road. 21-25 to vacate county road, Apple Lane.
I'll second that.
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell to approve resolution number 2125 to vacate a county road. Any more discussion? Morgan, would you please call the roll?
Carr,
Aye.
Kiefer,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Motion passed. Item 9. Thank you. Item 9, discussion on engine noise reduction ordinance. Andy?
I didn't know it was on thing. I'm sorry, I was late. My discussion, I guess, everything that I had hoped for has come about, not everything, but biggest thing is the road is quiet again.
Oh.
The Jake brakes are off. I have seen the sheriff out there, and I know that the sheriff has gone and talked to the owner of the quarry. I don't know if he's talked to other trucks. There's still a few, but it's nothing like it was. And so my communication with the engineer, my communications with Todd, coming here, I'd just like to thank everybody that I'm not losing my mind anymore. But I would still like to see, if possible, the signs get put up to let people know. Is everybody I talk to, not in the area, I mean, friends, all, nobody knows that we have an ordinance. And we need to let people know that we do. Signs aren't the greatest thing in the world, but they do something. Anyhow, thank you guys very much, and
I did visit with Deputy Bartz about the ordinance, and he says we have one, but they can't enforce it because they don't have the tools to measure.
and that piece of equipment isn't cheap. I know they're not. I mean, I've got a cheap one on my phone just so I could see if I was sane or not. But
So I think that it sounds like they took some type of action anyway, the sheriff's department.
well, I know that the sheriff spoke with the owner of the quarry, and they were the noisiest ones at the time. That helped. And then I had spoke to another chief deputy, I can't, Shirley.
Yeah.
He suggested that I call the landowner or the quarry owner. And so I did, and talked to him for quite a while. And it was, the deputy had warned me to keep it civil and not go there in person. And it was probably great advice. But anyhow,
I did.
Now getting back to the signs, I guess that's up to Adam. You have signs, right, Adam, or?
We do not have signs, we can order them. I estimate about 6 weeks from ordering to placement,
And they were about $200.
about $200 to place a sign. So
Okay.
I have no issue placing signs, I just would like some direction as far as how many and where you would like.
where,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pick and choose that. I just know that when you come down the road that I'm on, or 220, it's easy to see an impact a lot of homes immediately. If you can only put the sign at the county line, I don't know what the rules are. That moves it 5 miles away from where I'm at, so.
I looked up an Iowa noise reduction ordinance thing that for local, private and public, to consider. And enforcement is really a tough thing with, on the government side, that you can't do something for just one person.
Right.
And on the public side, it becomes a civil issue, which, and still in the courts, it seems like it could be an upstream battle to be successful sometimes in court. But I do think signs would be beneficial. I know when that ordinance was enforced over by the city of Rudd, they said just putting the signs up made a difference.
You just gotta let people know that it exists somehow.
I had no idea there was an ordinance until it brought to attention, but
I didn't.
and I quite honestly, my experience driving a semi, when I see that, yeah, but I had no idea that, unless it was specific with a town, but countywide, I didn't know it, but it helps. Signs will help.
Yeah.
So you're gonna order one?
How many would you like me to order? And where would you like me to put them?
Well, this gentleman's area.
Yeah, well, it hits a lot of houses right away, you know. If you, I mean, if you were just to put one on every road coming into the county, you'd be getting a couple hundred signs, you know, so.
I mean, there's
how to
about
pick, I
a
don't-
dozen blacktops coming into the county. So if you put one at the county line at every blacktop, that'd be about a dozen signs. Or do you wanna pick and choose locations here and there, or it's however you guys want me to go about it?
Well, I think specifically, we need one at least to help him out, you know.
Okay.
But we don't wanna, like she said, we
Well, I
can't
know
do
just
something
for
just for
one,
one, but it's more than one.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can do it at every
Yeah.
road, or it's gonna, you know, but
I don't know
I know.
if that's, like you mentioned, sign placement, if there's criteria for where you can put a sign, or if it is like areas like that where you've got a large volume of property in an unincorporated area, seems like a reasonable place to put a
I haven't
sign.
seen any criteria for where exactly to place these
Yeah.
signs. So that's why I'm kind of, I'm leaving it up to you, the board of supervisors, to direct me, because I don't. Put as many signs as you want, wherever you want, it's just,
Let's start with a couple and find a place to put them. Appropriate.
I'm not familiar where exactly he lives or back, but I just think, I don't know, we can talk about that later, where,
would you like me to just get a couple of signs in order and you guys can talk about where to put them?
I would.
I'll get half a dozen signs on order, does that sound
Okay with
reasonable?
everybody else, I just to move along and,
Sure.
you know, we'll start there, what the heck, you know?
Maybe we'll get more, hear more about it.
Yes, exactly, you know, and that.
No, that's great. And,
I think we have to.
But you've seen some improvement, right, Randy?
oh, I've noticed great improvement, and, you know, it could be more than just the communication with the quarry owner. But I have also noticed that the quarry traffic has dropped down. They're quieter, and maybe they don't have as much business coming this direction that they did at that time. But I still see their trucks, and they are quiet.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me think, if you think of putting something at, as hard surface roads that come into the county before the turnoff there to Nashua, that might even be a spot coming into the county where you might place a sign like that. It'd be just a few miles from your
But
place, but if it's the
yesterday-
quarry traffic, people.
Yesterday I had to, took a buddy to the hospital in Mason. On the way home, noticed when I entered Floyd County, on the avenue, there's no sign, you know. I mean, that
And I
might
do
be a
think
good spot.
at the time, we didn't put the signs up because of the law enforcement side of it.
Well, I know that I got, how do I say this? Believe in my heart that they did the best they could with what they had available to
Yeah.
them once they knew there was an issue. And I felt, even before I got a hold of them, that having the sheriff talking to them, he had authority, I had complaints.
Yep.
And I think it worked.
Well, I think you have a lot of traffic coming down also with.
Oh, boy,
trucks
do we.
Going to, Laurel, right, bring for the ethanol
Yeah.
plant. And
I
a
see.
lot of these trucks are from Minnesota, so strategically placed, a sign, you know, saying, I'm not sure,
Coming off the avenue somewhere.
you know, or something, yeah.
This issue has been talked about in county engineers forums for quite a while, and nobody really has a good solution.
There's not.
I mean, if you could find a way to enforce it, then yes, signs are helpful, but without enforcement, a lot of times signs are just there,
And
That in-
unfortunately.
that enforcement policy, the state policy recommendations or whatever they were, that did recommend, the dosimeters. that right? Decimeters, isn't it? Decimeter. And when we were talking about this before, it seems like the cost was near $5,000 for the equipment. But they mentioned a couple of companies, and so I looked into those companies, and the equipment was under $1,000. So I don't know if technology has just changed that it's brought the price down. I don't know, but for
We need-
enforcement
we
purposes,
need to
I don't
move
know.
on here, so you're okay, Randy?
No, I am, and I appreciate it. If there's something I can do to help locate signs, let me know, I'll volunteer.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I've already had a half dozen neighbors think that I did it.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, but
Don't
you
tell them
were
any different.
a big part of it.
Yeah.
Item 10 on the agenda, review action regarding the Iowa Child Abuse Prevention Program contract. That becomes effective July 1st, 2025.
It's extensive reading,
Yeah,
you know.
It's only 19 pages, Floyd.
Huh?
It's only 19 pages.
I know that.
Only 19.
I know. I have trouble finding the claims. But,
So that we just learned last week, this is the grant that we worked on for the Iowa Child Abuse Prevention Program. And we just learned last week, we learned that we were awarded, but we didn't know the amount until last week. And so we did get awarded the full request of $40,000 for 2 years, and then it allows for an extension for the third year. So this Sue Loken came to the meeting a couple months ago, a month or so ago on this. So she's very excited to get this award, and she does tremendous work throughout the Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw area. So it's going to be good coverage for her as a service provider to the public. She's got some good things built in there with car seat programs as well as other child abuse prevention. So I looked through the contract. I think everything looks, it's boilerplate contract for the state. There wouldn't be much you could change on anything in a contract because it is a state contract. I think everything looked fine.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the Iowa Child Abuse Prevention Program contract.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell, to approve the Iowa Child Abuse Prevention Program contract. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Item 11, a review and action regarding the hiring of burial services. Nathan Ike, and the reason this is on the agenda is there's been some concern, and Boy mentioned this earlier on his visit to the ditch, of the banks being pretty steep, really steep in some cases, and we wonder how they can even
make sure they're correct.
be seated, and so, and what burial services provide is a service called LiDAR, and I'm not a technical, but it's light distance and ranging, I think, right? Nathan, so can you just give us a brief explanation of what LiDAR does and what your process would be?
Yeah, so we fly manned aircraft to fly around LiDAR sensors, and these LiDAR sensors shoot out laser beams. And that time of flight between the laser beam emitted from the sensor hitting the ground and returning back to the aircraft is measured, computed, and then used to determine the exact point of the ground where that laser beam shot. And that happens at a very fast rate, millions of measurements every minute. And the aircraft is flown over whatever area of interest, and a 3D model is able to be created of the ground with many measurements every foot in order to accurately determine what the ground looks like or what objects look like throughout the area that's scanned. It's a very accurate technology, and it's been around a long time, and we've been using it a long time.
So this would help us determine the slopes, they're appropriate or too
Correct.
steep.
So, yeah, the data that we acquire will be able to be used to build a 3D model, and from that three-dimensional model, any geometric computation, including slope, can be calculated from that.
And then you put in those parameters of that. Such a critical thing with having so much CRT ground and everything like that, and it's not a nice straight ditch, it's things around a little bit, but it's such a critical thing with those outside areas. And I know we talked at a prior meeting of having some current concerns of doing this as an aerial type job. But the technology sure sounds like it's something that could work. But so you put in like from the center of the, we have, it's 100-foot right away, 50 foot on each side. So you put that in and it figures that from the center of the ditch to 50 foot with those slopes and all that.
So the process that we use identifies an area of interest, which has already been communicated to us of the center line of the ditch. We buffer that. In this case, a standard buffer would probably be 100 yards or 300 feet on each side. We plan flight lines that are linear to make sure that that's coverage, meaning sometimes we get coverage outside of there and we get a whole 3D model of the whole area. Then we come back in and we can use any point of interest, whether it's the side of the stream or the center of the stream, the top of the berm or midway up a slope. Any of those things can be measured after the fact, after the full 3D model is built.
Cost, if I remember correctly, was approximately $5,000 to fly it, and then $2,500 to develop the data. Does that sound right, Nathan?
The cost that we had quoted for the service was $5,300 to provide the 3D model, and any additional analysis regarding slope or things calculated after the fact, we had estimated as about 16 hours of time or $2,560 for our technicians and people to pull out additional information from that 3D model.
And then the actual spraying part?
So the actual acquisition of it is part of the building the 3D model that's the $5,300 up front. And then that model can be shared with anyone, can be shared with an engineer, can be shared engineering company, can be shared with virtually anybody. It's an open source access. So with the right software, you can load that on your computer and determine slopes yourselves. If you'd like us to provide that service, that's the next step, which is the $2,560.
So the $2,500 is optional.
Correct. But we have to start with acquiring the data and getting it geometrically accurate for the 5,300.
Yep.
But that extra, that is something we could do, right? As a
It is.
layman, I mean.
It is possible for other people to do, but I would not say it's an easy service.
Okay.
It's something that we would recommend that we do, but anybody could do with the right skills and software. We're not licensing that specific data to say we own the slope and the data. That data can be shared with anybody.
Do we have somebody on the phone?
What software would be needed to look at the data?
The data we would deliver is a point cloud in LAS format, and softwares that could view that would be most mapping softwares. QGIS is an open source free software. Arc Pro is another GIS software that's common in the industry. We use a software called TerraSolid. It's a paid software specifically for point clouds. And I'm also aware of, there's another open source point cloud viewing software for free that's escaping me right now, but it is able to be viewed in a variety of software from a variety of companies.
Okay.
So Jesse Willison is our zoning and wears a few hats, Board of Health, but he is a GIS guru. And glad to see you popped in at a perfect time to know, because I was just gonna ask if it'd be something that we could put on our GIS system.
I don't know if this is possible for you to go ahead and provide your service and provide the data to us to see if we could attempt to look at it by ourselves. And then if we weren't successful, then we could hire or pay for the additional services. Just throwing that as an idea.
And that is possible, and that's why we quoted it as two separate items, the data collection for the 5,300, the 2,500 for the additional services if you're unable to calculate the slope as necessary.
Do you possibly have some sample data that we could check it out, just to see if we can see on our stuff before you even start? I mean, just a thought, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've got QGIS in-house where we've viewed it before. And because I mean, I'm familiar with software from when I was with Pro Ready Mix.
So the answer is yes. I'm going to expand on that just a little bit more in that we had the area of interest identified last week. And because we had a weekend mission that we were flying with the LiDAR unit anyway, we chose to batch that in with another project. And so we have actually acquired the data over this ditch. And so we could provide a very small area of that for your analysis of the actual area you might be interested in. But, that would be a subset of the data. And if you'd like to use the whole data set, then we can enter into a contract to do that.
So that's something we can do.
Pretty positive, because I don't think this is the first time we've used your services, is it?
I'm unaware, but there's many counties that use our services for imagery and for LiDAR.
Chair recognizes Brandy.
I'm Floyd County Assessor. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I just ran on her. All I heard was GIS. I was trying to listen to the meeting. I heard was GIS and adding layers and whatever. I would really like to be involved in this conversation because the assessor's office, which is a separate taxing authority, pays for, owns, and controls the GIS in Floyd County. There's other offices that have access to our layers and have a licensing to have access for it, but we control that. So I just really wanted, we need it very, very much for our assessment processes. But we also do all the ownership and everything like that. So sorry, I'm still out of breath. I just want to make sure I'm involved in the conversation before we start agreeing to like change the GIS, because I would need to approve that and make sure it doesn't cause any conflicts with the assessment. So if they wanted to branch out and get own GIS separate from ours, like obviously I don't have any issues with sharing their data. But right now, like my priority is to protect the assessment data.
No, I don't think we're talking about changing the GIS stuff. This is just for one area that they're looking at.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like Jesse was just trying to give me the lowdown. All I heard was GIS adding layers or whatever. And I'm like, what are we talking about? And I came running. So like I said, you might have to bring me up to speed, but I would like to be involved in any conversations regarding that.
I might summarize by saying we're looking at producing a new three-dimensional model of a ditch area that's collected with LiDAR. So traditional GIS layers of being imagery and for assessment purposes might be separate versus the 3D model, the point cloud that we were looking to provide, but it might be compatible in the same software.
Aerial services? I just comment to that is that the county hires aerial photography to be taken already, and it already is in 3D image available. So maybe that's something that we can use as well.
Sure. This is the same as aerial photography. This is.
So yeah, the LiDAR service that we're talking about here, while we do provide the imagery services like you're speaking of, the LiDAR service here is a recent like three-dimensional model of the ditch that would be significantly more accurate than a photogrammetric model from other sources flown at various other times. But considering that it's very recent and fresh, and the LiDAR technology to build the three-dimensional model with the elevations would probably be a superior technology. Yeah.
And that wouldn't affect my data at all.
I don't think so.
No. Like I said, I just didn't know what was being talked about.
So did we answer your question, Brandy?
Yes, I think so. Like I said, any future conversations that have anything to do with GIS, I want to be involved in.
You gonna run back upstairs now?
Oh, no, I'll say what. I'm never gonna get over used to those stairs. Anyway, I'm sorry for bursting in.
Sure, no worries. Yeah, and from our perspective, the GIS software that's used is something that our data that we share as a part of this collection could be used to compute the slope or whatever other things that are of interest in that area.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Nathan? I think this is a program we need to pursue and try to get us the most accurate information on this ditch as we can. So we're done pointing fingers and we know what the facts are.
it seems like we've been in contention with this District 3 from day one. And after inspecting it and going, I mean, I know we have a number of issues, especially the railroad, and there's some controversy on the slope and the cost will be for, by the district, which I'm in.
But we did buffer that cost into the assessment. So as long as we're within what was estimated for it, I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't, potentially, it's not gonna be a new assessment. There's gonna be a fund balance to cover it.
Okay.
Even better yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to say maybe this help us put this baby to bed, and go on. So I mean,
I have one more question for Nathan. When could you do it, Nathan?
So the data was collected this weekend. I have looked at the initial processing data to confirm that the collection was adequate. And that's something that as soon as tomorrow, that data set could be delivered. To be a conservative estimate, I would say by the end of the week.
So you've already flown it? Is that what
The
you
project has already been flown,
Oh, it has?
which is our risk. But because we were flying another project on the same day,
I'll get you.
it actually reduces our total mission cost because it's one less takeoff and landing for our aircraft.
And you do, spraying in other drainage districts, other places?
So we don't do any spraying, but we do aerial data collection for imagery and for LiDAR. So the three-dimensional is LiDAR, and the two-dimensional red, green, blue, or even additional layers imagery, we also provide that service, but in this case, it's just the LiDAR.
Okay, so I gotta back up a little bit then. This is just to get an aerial of the,
But they've already done it.
but, so we're not talking about spraying anything.
no.
This isn't, this is just.
Okay. Well, that's not in the buffer then, so we're not in the buffered amount.
Yeah, okay, because I mean, yeah, this is, the way I understand it, we're within 2 inches of, you can take points and so very accurate. And there's such a concern that the slope isn't 2 to 1 or whatever, and maybe this will help ease everybody's mind and we can go on, so.
So just to summarize it, a more traditional method of calculating the slope would be to hire a surveyor or have somebody calculate with a tape measure for horizontal and a laser level or something for vertical and measure individual points all throughout this whole ditch. What our service provides, our data provides, is millions of measurements in order to save all that time out of the field and instead conduct that analysis in an office with the computer for any area of interest at any time.
I'll entertain a motion.
I don't know how to word this, but I'll motion that we hire
Aerial
services for the.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
yes, this is Merlin Schweitzer. Are we gonna do the whole $7,500 deal?
It's an option that the $2,500 is something that we may be able to do here, Merlin.
Well, I think to do it correctly and to get it done quickly, you need to let them do it. If we do it, the courthouse does it, whatever, it might take 2 weeks to get it. If you have him do it, it'll be done under his system and correctly, as far as I'm concerned. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you,
Jesse,
Chris.
what's your thoughts on that? Jesse,
Jesse?
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that? We have a property owner that thinks that the extra 2,500 should be done by them because of the timeline that the county may be able to get that same work done.
That may be if like you are like ready to roll and you do not want to wait. Maybe, and if the priorities, the challenge, I don't know that I can answer for the board as far as, I mean, I don't want to speak in front of Brandy, but I do have GIS experience and it should be able to, if they provided the data, to just hit an ArcMap is the software that we have access to. We copy the point cloud server, hit the add data button, and then you could see the information. But if I don't know the importance of how fast things need to happen, I mean,
I think there's some importance for that because this project has got a May 31st deadline.
Proceeding.
Proceeding.
But if
Maybe-
there needs to be work done for that,
that is a pretty tight window.
I'm not sure we can do any work this spring. If the ditch isn't right and, we're gonna force the contractor to come back and correct some of that, I don't see that being done this spring at all. I
more of
really
a
don't.
summer.
Well, no, boy, it'd be,
I guess my feeling is the sooner we have this information, the better.
Sure,
If they can do it within 2 weeks or so, I think that's what you mentioned, Nathan. And it might be longer for you.
Right. Yeah, and you're subject to my availability, you know, am I doing water tests, am I doing a septic
Yeah,
inspection? I am familiar with aerial services from previous jobs I've had, they're a good company, so I hesitate to use them.
So, Dennis, can you tell me then, if Floyd doesn't think any work would get done, if the slope's too high and it needs to be changed, and that's not gonna happen in, till summertime, what would be the rush for the 2,500 part of it?
well, the 2,500 will tell us what if the ditches are,
I know what it'll tell us.
okay.
But what would be the rush for the 2 weeks then? If the work wouldn't get done until much later.
I'm not sure I'm following your question. What's the 2 weeks that you're talking about?
He can have this done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Jesse's gonna take a little longer. Boyd says there's not gonna be any work that would be done in probably summer. Right, Boyd? Is that what you were saying?
well, if there ever is, I just can't imagine we're just gonna get these people back on a moment's notice, you know? And I think the thing that, the rub here is that some of the slope is not right. And, but going forward, you know, we have to have this information, but I just don't see anything happening by May 31st. Just the whole thing.
So by May
Cause
31st,
it's still gonna be, Neil has said, from Lakeside that he's still gonna rough it up and then seed it, so.
so May
This
31st
information isn't
isn't
gonna
a,
stop that.
yeah. May 31st is only a crunch date for seeding, not a crunch date for if the slope isn't correct and needs to be
Yeah,
corrected.
I just don't see that being corrected,
Yeah,
you know.
I would
at
agree.
all in 2 weeks, so,
I would agree. So maybe you do the 5,000,
yeah.
let Jesse see what his timeline's like. Does 2,500 still stand if we decide to do it in a
Yeah.
month?
Yes,
But I
We
would
can
say,
decide to do it later.
at any time later.
Yeah,
Okay, let's just focus on the 5,000.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and hire the aerial.
aerial services,
Yeah,
Services.
and, for
Their initial cost, whatever.
5,200, or is that what you had?
5,000.
$5,300.
$5,300.
Yeah.
I will second that motion.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to approve them regarding hiring aerial services for Drainage District 3 open ditch for the initial fly, which has already been done for $5,300.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan, appreciate it.
And I would just ask that if there could be a part in the minutes that says that the 2,500 may be considered at a later date if our Jesse is not able to get that done.
Yeah, you can, do we amend the motion or just add it?
No, just a comment in the minutes, I think it's fine.
Take care of it, Maureen.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, item 12, review action regarding Drainage District 1 and 3 open ditch spraying.
These districts do have.
34.
Oh, I think there's more than that.
Is there more?
Is there more?
Yeah, because there's multiple in the Washington School watershed area.
Okay.
And we're the trustees for most of them.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, Drainage District 1, is the one over here on along Underwood with the trees, little trees, I think. Underwood and whatever.
Okay. I can tell.
It's right here.
Okay.
That was when we had a $200,000 project a few years ago.
Oh, really? And the trees have grown back in that or something?
Yeah.
That's the deal.
I know Secondary Roads has taken care of some willows that were reported in an area last year. But it was an area that was specifically one property that just was bombarded with trees and was where most of the clean out was.
And this is just to do with the spraying, right? And well, down here in District 18, that's the one that I guess I'm looking at this. They thought a tile was plugged, so that's that one, right?
Repairs, yeah.
Make sure I got this all straight. Okay. Well,
13 is open ditch repairs and number 18 is open ditch repairs.
okay. So we're just gonna.
Item 12 is spraying. Yeah.
That,
One in district or DD3 is the one, of course, we've been talking about. There's some concern about getting control of broadleaves and ragweeds before it gets sprayed with an aqua-safe 2,4-D product. Got an estimate. Well, you have an estimate from Peggy?
Yeah. And that's the only estimate I've received so far.
Yeah, I didn't get mine until this morning, Morgan, from Ag Sky, or Sky Ag, I should say. Sky Ag's estimate is $7,486.98.
Can you do that again?
Yep, 7486.98.
Is that for both drainage or both districts or
Just
just number
three,
three?
just three. 83.
I wonder if we're comparing apples to oranges then.
Yeah, I
Because
did.
the Lakey quote is for both districts in question, and it's only 3,600, a little over 3,600 for both of them.
Yeah, well, that's an easy choice. And did you ask him about aqua-safe chemicals? Morgan, do you know?
I did not specifically ask about it. But like I've explained before, is that Jim sprays drainage districts in other counties. So I felt that it was safe to assume, but it is definitely something we can clarify before you hire them. But they've done it before. You know, they do it for other counties, so.
I don't know if they're more expensive or what the cost is. It could be. We have to be concerned about that. So, because it's gonna end up in the cedar. So.
But this company's experience with drainage districts, all drainage districts are going to waterways, so I would think they would know what they're doing.
So what was your estimate, Morgan, 36?
$3,622.92.
36, 26, 92? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, 3622.92.
That was like LEGGE.
Correct.
I want to look at my,
Were these, are they drone sprayed or are they?
These are on the ground.
On the ground sprayed. Yeah, I know that was.
This one is on the ground spray. They have 4-wheelers and.
Yeah. Perfect. that price seems more reasonable just for what the service is. I mean, compared to what you spray in a field.
Let's see, here's some from
I think that's the difficult part, is if they're not used to spraying the drainage districts, it's hard
Is
to
that
control.
true?
That guy doesn't have
More
that.
expensive than ground base, I think.
Has Sky Ag done drainage districts before?
I don't know. They use a drone, and that might be the, like Boyd mentioned, might be the reason for the higher cost.
And I know that was a concern to not use a drone for this because of the areas outside of it that are CRP and that type of thing.
Well, drone, they can focus that and keep it.
I just, I think the ground rate, I'm not, you know, personally, a drone would have to, they don't carry as much product, so it's a finer mist, you know,
Concentrated.
and yeah, and it's a lot of, I mean, personally, if you can use a ground rate, you know, I like that better.
Absolutely.
You're closer to the ground, the drift and everything. The trouble with that a lot of times is, I'm not sure how to do it, but to make sure you got the right coverage, you know. It's hard when you're out there spraying, but these guys know what they're doing. I think, this one looks pretty easy.
And that's 81 and 3 for 3,600.
Yeah, for 3,600, I would make a motion.
So I was gonna say too, that's for spraying weeds.
Yes.
We still do have a tree maintenance program issue that has always been encouraged to get in place.
With Leggies, it's drainage district 1 is for a willow treatment, and drainage district 3 is for broadleaf treatment. I'm sorry, I should have clarified that.
There, perfect. So it doesn't depend on how tall the willows are.
Yeah, he said it depended on how tall, but based on the information that I had at the time that I had given him, he said they could still spray those ones.
Okay.
He thought, this quote is based on the information that we gave him, he did not drive over here to see it himself, so there could be changes if something was not clearly communicated. So the quote for Leggies is that drainage district 1 is being treated for the willow trees, and drainage district 3 is being treated for broadleaf and weeds.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's specific to each district.
Yeah, better. You want that in the motion?
Okay.
You want that separation?
I think
In
it
the
could
motion,
be
okay. Drainage district spraying is for the willows. And drainage 1, and then drainage district 3 is for broadways. And that cost of $3,622.92.
by Leahy.
By, yeah, Leggy, well,
LAGTV. Yeah. Any other discussion? Did you second the
I
motion?
will second that, yeah.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved to hire Leggy.
And he will split that out, separate bills, right?
Yeah, and he can do whatever we ask, but he did put them together for the quote.
And I would assume if there's a willow that's too tall and he doesn't think it's gonna do the job, he'd be able to report that to us maybe?
You'd be able to report it or take care of it. I guess that'll be a
Okay.
conversation we need to have more specifics, because they have a different program for certain trees that are bigger.
Okay, and so that would be a good service that
Additional costs.
we might wanna get into a tree maintenance program with Leahy or whoever in multiple drainage districts, because we have tree growth as an issue.
Yeah.
Every time we have a large project, it's always brought up, you need to get a tree maintenance program in place, and the boards never take action to do that, so.
let's move on to item 13 on the agenda.
He's also willing to come and present or be on Zoom or something if you guys want to have like a formal question for him or together.
Yes. Item 13, review action regarding drainage district number 13, open ditch repairs.
Okay, it is my understanding after talking with Tim Lobby, he went out and looked at these.
Yeah.
Tim Lobby went out and looked at these. It's my understanding that the secondary roads would possibly be willing to look into the plugged intake. So for DD 13, if you wanted them to go forward with that, and I included the work order in your packet that he created.
I think that'd be great. You know,
Where's that drainage district at? 18, was it?
13.
13? That's.
Bob Rocks, North Bob Rock.
Okay. It's not Lori's issue.
South Flores is this one.
I
Two.
don't think so. I think that's further
That's
south.
this one, there too.
This one was
That's two.
submitted by Gerald Schmidt.
But it's close.
There's still some stuff.
I'll go to
There's-
So we'll let secondary roads take care of that, yeah? Good.
I would make a motion to direct secondary roads to take a look at the plug tile issue in drainage district 13. It's not an open ditch, it's just drainage ditch 13.
It says open district first.
Yeah, that would
I
be
mean,
just a my mistake, like I didn't know any better.
Okay. It's
So
not,
it's
It's
just
just
a,
a main tile,
yeah, okay.
plugged main tile.
I'll take it.
Do you make a motion, Gloria?
I did.
I'll second that.
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell to review action regarding drainage district 13 tile repairs. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Item 14, a review action regarding drainage district number 18, open ditch repairs. It's just, another one, 18 would be that in the same area, Gloria?
No, 18 was more.
Right here.
Ulster. That's a small one, too, relatively small.
Just west of.
And what's up with that one?
That one is a little bit different and is one that secondary roads is not sure that they would like to be taking on. The district needs clean trees removed, minor silt needs removed, is what they reported after looking at it. He believes it could be upwards of a week-long project, and that's not something that they generally would entertain. And that he recommended hiring out for.
This sounds like maybe it could be a project like in the past, Fullerton has done some drainage work, or
Kish, have they,
Kish has done some work before.
Doug is retiring, right, I guess?
I don't know.
Doug Cam's selling his
Oh,
equipment.
he is trying to sell.
Yeah.
So going forward, we put this out for bid.
Yes, you could put it out for bids, and Adam has left us, but oftentimes it's been the engineering department to kind of put that together for process, so I don't know if Adam's could help us with that part of it.
I'm gonna see if I can catch you.
They would have I mean, I haven't been by that myself, but they have, I
Yeah.
would think. So if we could get Adam to help us, maybe we could perhaps table this for a week or so, and just get hold of Adam and ask him if he
See if
could
they come up with some specs
come
of
up
some
with something
sorts.
for us.
Or-
Would that be okay, or is this something that
That makes sense.
had to be done right now? I don't know.
So is this the one on 190th, right? I want to get that right.
This would be,
North of 14.
here's the Rockford Road.
Yep.
Here's the road coming into Charles City.
And it's right on the east side of that district.
So it's
So
on
it's
across
the-
238.
It's on.
Well, it's right on.
Connects to drainage three.
It has to border 3 then.
That is
yeah.
border 3 right here.
The way they showed it to me, just. And that it is like this part of ditch. Borderline, not sure if it's coming out of the ditch, or like the district actually. So part of it is in district, and part of some of the stuff they're talking about might be out of district, so they're getting some clarifications, but it's way down here is where the issue is. So it's in that.
I think it's another week.
Southwest. Does that?
Couldn't tell from these maps.
Well, part of it is in the district, and for sure is around, but part of it could possibly be out. How close, because they said the open ditch all the way to March, and March is outside thing.
Yeah.
So someone needs to verify, yes, if it is.
It goes from March clear there. Basically, that's just.
What section number is that?
This is one, where,
In Ulster or no?
9517.
He has to be an Ulster.
9517, and then section 19517.
So it's the top of the township.
160, isn't it?
195, oh, the dot, so this side of the dot, 17.
So is 18, is it like a broken tile too or something, or what's the
No, that one
issue?
says something about trees and sill.
Trees and silt?
Yeah, that's gonna take a little. So
Excavate.
maybe if we could table this with the idea of letting Adam know so he can help us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we take action necessarily until
I think hold off as well.
hold on, we'll
Would agree.
get some more information. Is that okay, Tim?
Yeah, we've got some of the same landowners, or
Yeah, I know.
Ron and Curtis Mark, and Forsyth's.
Forsyths and Forsyths are ones who brought it up, and also,
But is it keeping them
Wayne
from the
Kohler.
field though, I guess is my question. Is it,
It's probably gonna, by the time you get a bid, you address a bid, you're gonna have field work
It's done.
anyway,
yeah,
It won't be done in a week.
yeah. You're gonna, so, I mean, potentially
Yeah,
there's
it's
crop
something
loss.
that I don't think, be later on to do. Can't get anything done quicker.
Right.
I mean, is it too wet to keep them from the field now?
Oh.
But then that doesn't matter, I guess.
It's not gonna, you're not gonna stop that. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be a good fall project after crops are out.
That's what I think. I just can't imagine anything being done. Farmers have this big plan.
Okay, so we table
This table.
drainage district 18. We're gonna continue on with 13 though and see if the county, the secondary roads can do that one.
do you vote to table it?
We technically probably should. But who is gonna talk with Adam?
I can
Or you can.
do that. Okay, you need a farm, so I'll do it. So-
Thank you. Nancy. Yeah, thanks.
Do you want a motion then to table?
Yeah, let's do that.
I move to table action on drainage ditch 18 until next Monday or Tuesday's meeting, pending the engineer's office being able to assist with specs for the project.
And I'll second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr to table.
The other
review
way,
action.
motion by Carr.
By Carr, I'm sorry, second by Campbell too. Table drainage district 18, open ditch repairs until
Next
the
Tuesday.
13th or whatever the next Tuesday is.
Yep.
13. Yeah.
Pending the engineer being able to get some specs together.
Right.
Help us with specs.
Okay. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Item 15. Are we ever gonna have a 2-page agenda? Morgan?
This one was almost a 2-page agenda. In fact, I worked with the margins to make it a 1-page.
That's what I was gonna, make the font smaller or.
Save money.
Barely.
Boy,
It was 2.5 pages at one point.
Oh,
Fix
boy.
next week.
okay.
Action, Review and action regarding appointments to the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority.
Yeah, since I'm not, I mean, we have meetings on Tuesday and that's usually when their meetings are, you know.
Okay. Same time of day too.
Yeah, right in the morning, 9 o'clock.
Do we, is it important enough that we change our meeting date or not?
I mean, once we get into the flow on Tuesdays, I hate to have, you know, to change one day in the week.
Yeah.
This is something you guys discussed when we were discussing changing the meetings. And that it was talked about how it didn't have to be a supervisor as the liaison between the two
Right.
groups.
It hasn't passed.
Because in the past it hasn't. At one point, there was a supervisor who was passionate about it and they wanted to be that liaison, but it didn't always have to be a supervisor.
It was, in the past, it used to be Jeff Sherman until Roy Schwickerath became a county supervisor. And then that was type of things that he did for the city of Charles City, so he wanted that role. And Jesse is very familiar with, he's the alternate, and he's very familiar with North Iowa Regional Housing Authority.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the alternate now. If you want me to be designated the primary, or if you know someone in the county that is passionate about housing issues, that is another alternative. Not saying I wouldn't be the primary, just because you probably need an alternate anyways, even if
Yeah.
I was, yeah, so that might be,
How about for now that we make you the primary and we'll find you a substitute?
And would you think that
Or
in
if you
most,
know some,
would you think in most cases, if you knew you weren't going to be available for a meeting, because I think they give you a week or so
oh
notice,
yeah, they
don't
give
they?
you quite a bit of time.
Or is it even the same, you know, whatever?
Usually that last week.
That if you know say you're gonna be on vacation,
Okay.
maybe that's a situation where we would change a meeting, and maybe you could be the alternate, Boyd.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be fine. I'd do that.
We could try that for a while.
Okay, Jesse?
yes, it is.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we appoint Jesse Willardson as the county's primary representative to the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority, and Boyd as the alternate.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Campbell, or by Carr, second by Campbell, to appoint Jesse Wilson as the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority rep for Floyd County. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. I think I heard Gloria.
Yes, I did.
Number 16, review action regarding a request for a Board of Health to hire counsel to take title to abandoned property. And we're talking about the property in North Springs again, right, Jesse?
Yes. Want to just go ahead and we refer to it by, 1539 Rock Grove Lane. So it's kind of hard to know where to start with this because it's been several years. There's been 2 county cleanups, that county funded cleanups that went through the court system and were declared nuisances by the county attorney's office. And so there was 2 cleanups. And I'm rounding here, but one was knocking on $9,000 to $10,000, and then the other second cleanup that I oversaw was the one. It was just under $5,000. That was only to clean up the exterior. It does appear that that property will go to a tax sale. Now that is a complicated process in and of itself. And I have tried to become educated on how the tax sale process works. So we're kind of at an impasse, I think, to what direction we want to take with this property. We could take the wait and see approach and see if the property owner eventually just doesn't pay the assessment and lets it go on the tax sale. There is, with interest, that property owner could still even a year from now, still, you know, not lose the property on a tax sale. So, that is one option where the county would wind up with the property. And I do believe that if the county did end up with the property on the tax sale, that dwelling would absolutely need to be demolished. And because when we did the second cleanup that I was a part of, the door was wide open, so I made sure that Dwayne wasn't actually in the dwelling while we were doing, you know, there's gonna be excavators and backhoes there. So I hollered into the house and there was no answer, and just looking in, I mean, it's a disaster in that house. I mean, there's also reports there was a fire there, and I do not believe anything has happened since the fire, any cleanup or any repairs. I also believe that the well and septic are both inoperable. The power was shut off for the winter, but I do believe the power is back on.
Is there a shared well with a property to the west of that? Do you know, Jesse?
The well is actually on the neighbor's property, but I believe that individual gets her water from another second well.
Okay.
That has nothing. Yep. So yes, it is a shared well in a sense, but then in the other sense, it's not being used by Shar. She has another well on the property. So it's a shared well, but property owner for 1539 Rock Grove Lane does not. It's not functioning. So we've looked in the well pit. It looks like there's lots of damage to the equipment inside the well pit. So I don't believe the water's operable, and I don't believe the sewer's operable either. So there's kind of two routes to go with this abandoned building is what I'm calling it. We could either wait and see how this whole tax sale process works, and which could be as much as 2 years. And as I understand it, that's another case where if you wanted to seek consult from the treasurer's office, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. If you want to consult with the treasurer's office on how that process works, but it looks to me that the property owner's name is Dwayne Tesh. It looks to me like he could kind of at the 11th hour pay that special assessment and then still have possession of the property or maintain possession of the property. So an alternative that I am proposing here would be to hire an outside consultant or attorney's office that has a lot of expertise in these matters of abandoned properties. The specific attorney's name is Steve Leidinger. It's the Lynch Dallas Attorney's Office in Cedar Rapids. And so I guess I'm seeking to take that route if that's the route you'd like to take. If you want to take a more sure route to solve the challenge of the abandoned building or having an abandoned building there.
Is Dwayne suing the county now too?
Yes, he has filed suit with district court. If you want to touch onto that, we can. What would you like?
Is that, what bearing will that have on what we do, if any?
Okay, so he is taking, he is not pleased with how we did the clean. And I have photos that show that there was just stuff, rubbish and whatever you want to call it, scattered everywhere. And so he claims that we improperly took a wood pile, but I have a picture of this wood pile that he's talking about. It looks like there's sticks all over it. There's random boards and there's pallets stacked on it. I mean, it looks like a woodchuck would probably take home there if you ask me. And then he's referring to a hydroponic garden. And I guess I'd like to know what he thinks a hydroponic garden looks like, because I haven't seen anything that looks like that on the property. So I don't even know what he's talking about. So.
Okay. But I guess his suit against us doesn't have to deter what we're gonna do.
I wish I had the perfect answer there. I mean, I don't know if Todd Pritchards is on the line, is he not?
I'm not sure if he is or not.
Okay.
Is it such a thing that we gotta, I'm not familiar with this, but we have to be specific channels to go through, only to condemn this property and everything. I mean,
I can give you a short answer. It requires court proceedings, or I mean, you have to file actions with the court to do it. I can't just
yeah,
come in there with a excavating company and just demolish the house. I mean, there are motions that need to be filed with the court system.
and that would be something that Todd would have to do.
No, it'd be this attorney.
Right, so I'm proposing that we hire this attorney to do it. They have experience in it. I touched base with Todd. He did not appear to me to have any concern doing it that way. He said that it is a very tedious process and so it is time consuming. So
Sure. What's the cost? Do you have any idea?
that's another thing. I do not have an exact answer on that. I'm certainly, I mean, it probably wouldn't be ideal, but I guess if the cost started really racking up, I mean, we can always abandon ship, but I'm not saying that's ideal.
Kind of like the Ehlers and Cooney deal that we talked about earlier. There's a per hour fee. It looks like you've got per hour fees for.
I just hate to throw a number out there and then
Yeah,
just
I
be wrong. I mean,
I
flat out
agree.
wrong, and then it doesn't look good by anybody.
It's up to the Board of Health to hire this attorney, right?
They recommended it. So I went to the Board of Health and it's a recommendation, not an order. So they recommended, that's how I brought it to the Board of Health. I mean,
Okay.
I wanted it to be a recommendation, and so we talked through it, and you know, their reasons for wanting to go forward were that you know, it is a medium density residential area. This individual, he is not going to make, like, if we want, it's not going to be easy if we're going to ultimately try to get this nuisance abated and then the abandoned building taken care of. He's not going to make it easy.
Can I just suggest here that I think we're probably talking a lot about stuff that maybe should be closed session stuff, potentially. Have you talked to Todd about that? I mean,
No,
you're
I
talking about a lot of things, but it's like,
I know.
is that stuff we shouldn't be talking about at this table in an open session? Or do we, is the decision to whether or not to hire someone, is that a closed session topic? Or I guess I've looked at chapter 21 to
So
see.
the Board of Health recommended, and we have to make a decision if we want to do it or not.
Right. I mean, you could table it if you wanted to see how what I'm requesting intertwines with him suing the county.
Personally, I don't feel comfortable without more information, more.
I would. I talked to Todd specifically because this item is only supposed to be specific to hiring the law firm. It's not to be talking about the
Details.
other things. It's supposed to be talking about just hiring this lawyer for going forward. So when it comes to that specific item, Todd did say that it does not need to be closed session because you are just approving or deciding if you are going to engage in legal counsel to take the title. So as long as we go back to just sticking to the topic that's at hand.
But is the contract written that it's Floyd County suing, but is it Board of Health suing or is it Floyd County suing?
It'll make a big deal.
I don't know which way it goes.
Oh, you mean as far as the suit?
I mean, is it a different board that should be considering this contract, or is it the Board of Supervisors to consider this contract? Who sues? The Board of Health?
Well, I mean,
Or-
we wouldn't be suing anybody. We would
Or,
be
well,
hiring there'd
Yeah,
be
not
court
suing.
filings to take possession
Yeah.
of the property. I do believe that if we are gonna go that route, the cleanest direction is through the Board of Supervisors. Just want you to know that. And then from a funding standpoint, you know, to actually pay for it. So that is like, if that is something you want to consider hiring the attorney, I do believe that it's at the supervisor level that that's the direction it should go. But as far as the other stuff, the intertwining of it all, I mean, it's not easy, it really isn't.
Can we call Todd and see if he's in his office? I had a different impression from what Todd, I thought Todd indicated to me that it was the Board of Health if they wanted to hire the attorney,
Okay,
not the supervisors, but I could be mistaken. I may have misunderstood him.
And we have a 2-minute break for this.
Yeah,
I'll be right.
is it okay?
yeah, I mean, I want to do it right.
You got him?
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, this is Gloria. I wondered are you available to come to the meeting or talk about, no? Okay. Okay. Is it Board of Health or is it Board of Supervisors that hires this service? And for that Lynch Dallas firm for the Tesh property? The abandonment of the Tesh building house? Is it Board of Health that hires this attorney? Or is it the Board of Supervisors that considers hiring an attorney? Well, you probably have to pay the general fund, which is either department, I mean, both general fund. And then, is there any impact of what the claims that he has filed against the county on the prior cleaning up? It impacts anything? Okay. And is that being addressed or not? We can talk about that another time. I'll tell him you're in another meeting. Okay, yep, he's in another meeting. And he's not able to get away from, but he said the Board of Supervisors would be the funding source.
The funding source, so we'd be,
So we'd be the one on the contract most likely.
so we have to make the decision.
So would that come out of Board of Supervisor budget or Board of Health budget?
It could come out of 51, or like the others. I think there's still some unanswered questions.
An intertwining subject, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Todd wasn't able to come. He's in another meeting right now. You could tell he was sidebar talking to me on the phone. But he said that if we enter into a contract, it would be with Floyd County, not with the Board of Health. And there's nothing, the other case has nothing to, or the other documents he's filed against the county have nothing to do with this. But he wasn't able to talk anymore than that.
So Jesse, your recommendation, if I understand you, you would like to go ahead with this process?
Yeah, I mean, that house is abandoned. So where it gets complicated is that Dwayne claims he lives there, but there is no way he lives there. So
I heard he slept in his car there the other night.
I think we're probably talking a little bit too
Yeah.
much again.
yeah, but you get what I'm saying. I believe that building to be abandoned, and of course, I mean, it's not, give me a second to think how to word this. There's enough neighbors that I do believe that it's a nuisance that we should consider looking at. So I keep using the term medium density residential. There's several homes in the area. It's the long-term viability of that house is nothing, slim to none. I mean, it's a dilapidated house.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Could I ask, could someone even like Brad Schloter, who does this type of thing for the city of Charles City, would he be able to consider doing a case like this?
Never
Does it have to
asked
be
him.
this-
We need a specialty attorney, like this
Yeah.
guy you suggested.
Yeah,
I'm gonna entertain a motion to review action regarding request of the Board of Health to hire legal counsel to take title to abandoned property. And then whatever that address,
1539
1539 Rock Grove
Lane.
Lane. Any more discussion? All in favor, say
Who
aye.
made the motion?
Or
Will
someone
second.
make a motion, yeah.
Did you make the motion? You made the motion?
I didn't, no, I'm sorry, I didn't.
My question, is this something that we kind of absolutely do right now, Jesse? I mean, I just, I guess I would like personally to look at this, property, just, you know, I feel more comfortable than just, I mean, is that
Table it.
possible that we could just table this for another week and I just don't know if I got enough information here to just carte blanche.
You
Do
know,
you
that
get any pictures of it, Jesse?
Or I could go and,
You know where it's
It's
at?
up to you. I think that's a
You know
direction.
where Fred went used to live? Up the hill south.
I knew where his farm was.
Yeah, the gravel road that goes behind the tracks. Go into North Springs, first gravel road.
Oh, I thought you were.
Hey Boyd, this is Jen from, upstairs.
Yeah,
I've been with the county since 2021 and we have been dealing with this property since 2022. And we have been getting complaints on this property numerous, about every week we get complaints about this property. Yes, we did clean it up. And now 2 years later, which was in 2024, we're turning around and cleaning it up again. And he is not living there. I don't know, but I think what you need to do is, I think that it is, considering it as being abandoned, it is.
okay,
And from the other people, and if you wanna go out there and look at it, that's fine, but it is, I mean, we've got pictures all the way back from 2022.
okay. All right, well, appreciate that.
the abandonment is new, somewhat nuisance has been discussed multiple times and we've got an
Number of neighbors and.
yeah, and we've got an $8,500 assessment that nothing's been paid yet. There's, and the other assessment doesn't go out until this next
Jesse,
tax
did you have some
session.
photos of the property?
So can you repeat your question?
Did you have photos of the property?
Yeah,
Just,
I saw some.
you can see it from the aerial, okay.
It's clean here.
Yeah.
This is, these photos.
That
are
was
even-
good.
Did you see these
Okay.
photos? It's on the GIS.
oh, right, that's several years ago, that picture for sure. That's probably before Dwayne owned it.
Well, we've had problems and ongoing since 2022 and,
Cleaned it twice.
yeah, okay, yeah. And
My only question was, I believe Brad Schloter has handled cases of abandonment. I just didn't know if you needed to hire a Cedar Rapids or Des Moines attorney or anything like that to do the job.
I don't know.
Do we need to go into closed session to decide to do that? We don't, I don't think. This person that you found specializes in this, right?
Yeah,
And you got their name from maybe Saragordo County?
yes,
They've used them in the past?
yes.
I think that's who we need to use.
Okay, I give up. I'll make the motion that, we go ahead and hire this attorney from Cedar Rapids and get this ball rolling.
A second.
All right, motion by Campbell, second by Carr to hire, what's the firm?
Steve Leaninger, Dallas Lynch.
Steve Leaninger.
Yeah, that's the
Contract with
attorney
Dallas
who I'm
Lynch.
working with.
Yeah.
The law firm is Lynch Dallas PC.
Lynch Dallas PC to take care of the abandoned property issue. So, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, item 17, law enforcement 2080 agreements, and we have those with the subsidies.
Don't have the minutes pulled up anymore, but you guys have already approved the rates that you, or like you have already set the rates that you wanted these to be. So this would just be the official 2080s
A matter of signing what we approve.
for pretty much. I mean, then you have to approve the 2080s themselves, not just the rate. So each city has been updated to, I think you went from $7 per capita to $9 per capita for all the cities except for Norris Springs, and Norris Springs is on a different schedule. They went from $50 an hour to $65 an hour.
Okay, anything else, Morgan, on that?
That's all.
Entertain a motion to approve law enforcement 2080 agreements.
I move that we enact the law enforcement 2080 agreement.
Second, it was at that January 13th meeting, and so it'd be the city of Marlborough, Rudd, Rockford, Floyd, and Cowell at $9 an hour, separate agreements, and North Springs at $65. Or $9 per capita for the cities and 25 for the.
Made the motion, Roy.
Yeah, but she did a good job.
Okay, motion by Carr, second by Campbell. For approving law enforcement 2080 agreements. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Discussion on installing key fob access to ground first and second floors. That was a discussion that started with myself and a couple of other county employees, and there's been some interest in increasing security, which is not the most modern way, but more modern than key and what do they call them? Not barrels, but the traditional key lock, I guess. So Nathan or
Bernie said he would like to
Bernie
be
was
part of this
here. He had an
conversation, but
estimate, yeah.
yeah, but he hasn't responded when I sent him a message.
You want to go to the next item?
I don't have my phone. If you want to text me.
We can go on to
Do number 19?
did you get a hold of Bernie?
I sent him a text
Oh,
message.
you did, okay. Yeah, let's go to item 19, note fees collected from the auditor, recorder, and sheriff for the quarter ending March 31st, 2025.
A lot of passports
Been a lot of passports.
in the quarter.
Quarter.
So that's that spring rush with people doing spring break stuff. They gotta get passports for.
The work control tomorrow was 60, 62, 64, 33.
Total for the auditor's office was 62, 64, 33.
Yeah.
The other two offices present theirs monthly.
So noted.
All right. Item 20. Review action regarding setting the time, date, time and place of fiscal year 25 county budget amendment hearing.
So the last day you could do that would be, if you're doing your Tuesday meeting, it would be the 27th of May.
May 27th.
I do 9 o'clock meeting, do you like a hearing at 9:15, or do you want to do an afternoon meeting?
Usually not many public members here for our budget amendment meetings are there. Let's do it in the morning, 9:15.
In this room, good in this room. I'd make a motion that we set the fiscal year 25 budget amendment hearing for May 27th at 9:15 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors room.
I'll second that.
Motion by Carr, second by Campbell to have our amendment hearing on May 27th, 2025 at 9:15 at our board meeting in our boardroom. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Hi.
Ernie, thanks for coming down.
Yes, sir.
It's been a long morning already. We're just discussing key fob project that I initiated here some time ago. So can you kind of give us a background on this product and how it works?
Okay, so they're a wireless lock. Use our existing key fobs. They'll use our existing wireless network. And basically, there's another version of these locks. They're more expensive. It's real time with the other locks where, but you would want that more if you had a door that you constantly going in and out. And the reason why these locks were selected is because most department head doors is open it, you know, block it open all day long until the end of the day and then it's closed. I mean, it will download a map of fobs, like who and what, who's got access. And it'll still work even if you used it that way. But it just won't update those logins to be able to track or trace into our system. Not that we even need that, I don't know, but it would still secure the doors. So, but it's all wireless. It gets its power from a lithium ion battery that will last 4.5, 5 years. So, maintenance wise, we'd have to take it out, replace the battery once in a while, you know, every 4 or 5 years. So
I know Morgan is concerned about if we lost power into the building.
but they have their own power, our wireless access points are on battery backup, so is our servers.
I'd like to clarify, my concern is more so about when the system fails. Because the system has failed with the doors that we do have, the system has failed once since
One time.
since I've been here, and I've been here 4 months. I don't know how many times before that, but I do know it fails and that you still need a key to get in then, so.
I don't think we ever had it fail before. It was just that one time, that one board shut down on them and we had to reset it.
So then, are there still doors and keys to each door? Because that is very important in my opinion to safety and everything else.
They're gonna take the key locks out because you're replacing the whole plate.
I can't support this.
What's recurring costs? What's annual recurring costs?
It'll be part of the Genetech system, the licensing, so you're adding another, how many devices do we have on there, so.
80?
Lenny?
Oh, that's 80 hours labor. 13 and,
13.
so you're not doing all
No, just,
Just, and I mean, it's like, right now, we have 170 device licenses for the Genetech system. This would add 13, so you're probably looking at another, it's gotta be in there, the licensing costs on the quote.
This is just labor and use.
One reader security center connection, 1,014.
So the line 13, advantage for one Synergist Enterprise reader, 2 years. Be your recurring cost and then your security connection. So $1,400.
$1,400
To be,
after 2 years, or for the year 1 and year 2? Or the 1,400 covers 2 years?
well, the 1,400 doesn't say 2 years, the 324 covers 2 years. Genetech One Reader Security Center connection is probably your yearly license.
What are the security issues that people have?
I don't know if there are currently. I mean, I think, we've spoken about this before, even during the original project, but you guys cut it out due to budget. I mean, on the doors, and I mean, you got the outside doors program that way. I mean, that's the next thing. I mean, the only other thing is like lost keys. Then you're talking about lost fobs too, do the same thing. So with a fob, we can disable them. With a key, we can't. You have to relock everything with a lost key. Fob, you just disable a fob.
Just can't support $32,000. I don't see the security risks of it. I think there's 32,000 we could put towards something better than other projects than a project like this.
we don't know if you have a security risk until you have one. Security breach.
Thinking on the key thing, I guess I never, they sent a guy up there that was operating, he falls, he looked at the doors. I mean, maybe those key cylinders still go in this as a backup, but I can ask that question to clear it up. But yeah, I agree. You don't have one till you have one.
Can I say something?
Yes, who is this? Is this Jennifer?
This is Jessie.
Oh, Jesse, okay, I'm sorry, Jesse.
No, you're fine. So I just kind of want to say that I'm here a lot after hours and on the weekends. And if the fob fails, I mean, I would rather have a key to use that so that I know that I can actually get in and not have to bother somebody else on the weekend.
Attempt to verify with them that the key thing will still be an option. Backup.
Thank you.
I still ask the question then, what's the security issue? If the doors are left wide open all day, well, a lot of the offices' doors are left open all day, what's the security?
Well, I guess it would be after hours and people going in the offices, they're not supposed to be in if they've got keys for that sort of thing. And I guess that would be the only other thing.
What's the history
I
of
mean,
that?
unless somebody gets in here and busts in.
What's the history of going to the offices?
I've only been here 6 years, so you'd have to tell me.
I don't know. That
And
there's
I
an
mean,
issue. I know the only thing I
anybody
can
ever
think of
broken
is
into the courthouse?
before the auditor's office had keys to the, the only thing, it's the van. I would, if somebody didn't pick up their keys, I would maybe contact the assessor's office and say, hey, do you care, I need to go in your office, so-and-so forgot to pick up keys. But custodians go in to do their things, you go in offices after hours to do things, potentially. Just can't see $32,000 for this project.
Well, I had my 2 cents. I've asked every department when we go through budget hearings to knock off more than 0.25%. And I guess it's just too much money for me to do this now. And just, you know, just a lot of money that maybe we'll need it later for some reason. But, you know, I can't support that myself at this time anyway, so.
Okay, well, it was just an item for discussion, and for the time being, we'll table it, so. Thanks for your help, Ernie.
Yep, thanks for it.
Are we
Item-
tabling it till another day, or what are we tabling?
Well, we can, maybe table is the wrong term. We can bring it up again if it needs to be discussed at another time.
Okay,
So,
that's good.
note hiring the conservation aides. And they are Grayson Brandt will begin duties with Floyd County Conservation on May 19th. And Carter Burkhardt will begin duties for Floyd County Conservation on May 12th. Grayson and Brandt will begin duties with Floyd County. Both are attending college in the field of conservation and management, and will be working with the Floyd County until August when they return to school. So, welcome aboard. Carter and Carter and Grayson. So, item 22, future agenda items.
Next week, so this week, 911 has their meeting. And that's where you had asked to, after they've had that meeting, the board has asked for me to put back the disposition of equipment on the 210th Street communication tower. So that will be coming up. There is.
Based on a recommendation from 911.
Yeah, based on a recommendation from that.
My only thought that I had on all of that was if we're whoever's gonna remove the equipment, if they're gonna have it done by June 30th or whatever, are they accepting the date as of a little earlier?
I don't know.
Based on the 60-day notice? And whoever's hired to take the equipment down, really.
That's Triple E or the.
Yeah.
No. Well,
Well,
Ms. Burgess was going to contact Jennifer, and I don't know if he did or not. And tell him or let her know what equipment was theirs. I don't know what it would be. Because I don't have any idea, but we know what our equipment is ours, so. And we don't have any intent, we're not gonna take the tower down,
it's not our tower.
no.
That's why we were paying the 1,000 or 1,200, whatever a month, which I think was on one of these claims.
Jennifer, are you still on the phone?
That's all right, it's not an agenda
Yeah.
item, but, that maybe at that meeting Thursday, just clarify that if there's anything that needs to be done, if it can't get taken down by whenever the contract ended. Did he say, is it 60 days from that date of the notice, or is it June 30th?
I don't think he gave me any dates, let me look at my dates.
I know we gave it to him a little earlier so that the 60 days would have been before June 30th,
21st.
21st.
I think it came down to the 21st would be based on when it was approved and everything. But I have not heard any confirmation from them if they're going to go with that or if they're gonna go with the original June 30th date.
I'll meet with Jennifer and see if she's heard from him, see if there's, any specific dates or whatever.
Based on prior conversations, you guys have one item you tabled for next week.
I think the cost of taking that equipment down is gonna go on the project, I believe, isn't it? That cost to take the equipment down. The tower project.
Yep.
Cost.
Or the 9/11, the new.
Yes.
Drainage District 18, I believe, is the one that was tabled for next week. After Dennis talks to the engineer.
Please speak up a little bit.
I can try. I'm losing my voice here. Drainage District 18 can also be put as a future agenda item because you have tabled it until after Dennis talks to the engineer.
If they have the
Okay.
specifications, yeah.
You can talk with Adam and find out what they've got, yeah. Anything else? I got a ways to go to have 23 items again next week, Morgan.
It'll be a short meeting. I don't want to miss
3 items. This was a lot.
I entertain a motion to adjourn. So move.
Second.
Motion by Campbell, second by Carr. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.